Today we will talk about XLM, but this is a very different thing that I have put a lot of time into. This is the introduction into what I have been approached with and what I have been collaborating on with an individual who comes from a combination of experiences that has very unique inside hands-on information into how XLM will be much larger than anyone thinks at this point in time. And in a lot of ways, it can and probably will be larger than even XRP. And I will explain that a lot more over the coming days and weeks, but it really seems as if XLM and all of its connections into the UN and the World Economic Forum and the IMF and the World Bank and a ton of others are much more than I ever thought. And I encourage everyone to pay attention to everything in this particular piece of content and to watch until the end, because it has a lot of things in here that help explain where I am actually headed. So yes, it does concentrate on XLM, but it also ties heavily into Casper, HBAR, SHX, Velo, Flare, XRP, and where all of these projects who have become so integrally connected, all of them have ties back into XRP and XLM and the highly connected individuals who are involved in pretty much everything in the crypto fintech space at this point, and especially around IBM. However, one of the largest connections I have found so far is into XDC, and that will be explained as I roll out content on this. But all of these maps who have been put out by XX, I have been able to explain a lot of how these graphics represent real world applications that are highly connected and highly valuable as well. And a lot of it ties back into the traditional financial institutions and where the world as a whole is headed in 2024 and 2025. And a lot of the content over the next few days is heavily connected into Australia and XRP and XLM. But there's also a lot of ties that go right back into the UN, the World Economic Forum, and the IMF. One of the things that came to mind after all of this was the old TradeLens project, because that seems to connect a lot of the companies and the projects and the entities that I have found more and more proof on to show that not only will XLM be much larger than a lot of us think right now, but that the infrastructure has been put in place and it is already being used right now. And I want to introduce this by running through some of the notes I took in one of the initial conversations I had. So here it goes. You are early. What we're talking about is financial infrastructure and payment rails that can 100x the global economy. People will not be able to afford the assets that we talk about now, which are pieces of code. Late adopters will only be able to own mere contracts and derivatives. A lot of it ties into what the PayPal mafia types are involved in, which revolves around the commercialization of space and low Earth orbit, which goes into companies such as SpaceX and Vast. Here is where we get into what I have actually found. FPII is creating a new cross-border payments platform. It aims to be funded by a publicly traded trust fund, which is a vehicle to acquire about $11 billion. New Zealand has been acquiring legacy businesses that align with goals and to expand existing companies that they control and give profit to the people involved, and that NZ is about the AFPII entity that exists in that country. The trust fund is also registered in the US. ClickX, UN, and SWIFT are founding members of APFII. ClickX is the for-profit private remittance payment company which won an award from SWIFT in the past. And here's where we tie in IBM and why IBM WorldWire is not what we think it is. From what I have found, IBM got rid of Lund because things were moving too quickly. In about 2018 or 2019, the guy who worked at SHX and created Stronghold USD went to State Street, and that's when Stronghold went only institutional on their old exchange. IBM WorldWire code on GitHub has not been active in a long time, which leads me into the fact that the Stellar network as it is now is essentially WorldWire. IBM wasn't going to be allowed to be the sole network operator for a WorldWire type of platform because other countries wouldn't want to participate if they felt that it was out of control, which ties into BRICS extremely well. In about 2019, 2020, 2021, Stellar ramped up its ties to government, congressional hearings, letters to the White House in order to help guide regulation that favors their own protocol. Regulation for private fiat-backed stablecoins will also come into play here. Stripe was integrating global customers with the Stellar Network DLT. Visa, MasterCard, and other payment networks are preparing and are prepared to implement DLT infrastructure. Stronghold is the poster child for creating institutional relationships with retailers and institutions and is helping to prepare for the Stellar infrastructure to be implemented for the public front end. IBM is working alongside a lot of others to prepare for DLT adoption. Casper is heavily involved because of its Actis ties. You've got the World Economic Forum's Universal Digital Payments Network, which involves Hyperledger, DLA Piper, and Toko, which all tie back to Hedera and HBAR. But all of this is allowing for the global anchor networks to be built out. And that anchor comes back to what we hear often in conversations around XLM, XRP, and even SHX. At this time, ISO 222 was not yet far enough along. It had to have others such as SEPA, RT FedNow, all of those kinds of things had to be prepared with ISO 222 compliance to be able to integrate with non-distributed networks, which are in the centralized traditional financial industry. The DTCC implemented the XDC exchange as a microservice messaging bus, which is a messaging layer that rides on top of banks' tech stacks and allows data to move from one system into another. And I was able to find ties on that. At this point is when they were all told to go dark so that it can be rolled out in a certain way. The time frame with all of these APFII connections was intense. Facebook was trying to push out Libra, and that got shut down, which has a lot of ties into XLM. The BIS, IMF, and all of the other types were all trying to establish a T, which is why central banks wanted a CBDC. They didn't want to give up control to only one institution. Facebook put out content that said Stronghold was helping Facebook at around that time with their developers using and training Facebook employees to write code on these new L1s and in particularly on Stellar. Tammy Camp onboarded 4 million users in only a few months, which was done with airdrops over Facebook Messenger and broke the old Stellar network. David Mazieres was approached to create a new consensus protocol that could be expanded into mass adoption. And he is also heavily involved in Velo as well. In short, we are talking about L1 networks that support the movement of value and all have a native median of exchange, which has all been minted, finite, and is deflationary. And in particular, things like that are XLM, XRP, and SHX. However, it does tie into XDC a lot as well. When the green light is given, institutions have to accumulate. They are actually coins and not tokens. And Tammy Camp has explained that as well. And at this point, I have a clip that I was provided that was a portion of a Crypto Hulk video, which at this time is probably about 1 to 2 years old. However, it talks about all of the hidden involvement of XLM.
J316, I'm doing good. I see you right there. I'm calling. Okay, perfect. Would you like to be on a speakerphone? Okay, let me turn this thing here. Okay, there you are. You got the phone line. What's up?
All right, so I'll be fast. I know it's late. It's almost 5 here. So as some of you guys know, I literally have been involved in this for almost 10 full years now with the actual coding and development side.
Oh. And
I can't say a lot, obviously through NDAs and just, I have security clearances I kind of want to keep.
Right.
For the better part of almost 6 years now, we just finished up in April, so this contract is now done. That's why I am now allowed to talk more about it. I have worked directly with major cities and Fed-level entities across Canada, US, and Mexico. And I'm talking everywhere from the Chamber of Commerce, getting their systems in place, getting the tracking in place, getting the payments in place. We handle the up-down, like my group, we got contracted in to come do this. And we handle the up-down and point of interaction payment systems. So we work with Stellar. Vehicle tracking, we work with Hedera.
Hashgraph, that's HBAR, everybody. HBAR.
Yes. And we also, with tracking as well, we also work with Hyperledger, which again is XLM and IBM. And we did a little bit of work. I met with 2 people that were from the XDC team, or XinFin, and they handle more on the cargo-related side of, this is all public-related transit.
Told you, XDC is cargo. Go ahead.
So government, it's a city level. So this could be as simple as Los Angeles, or it could be down to as small. I know for a fact we worked in Costa Mesa, California. That's small of a city. I work in small cities where, like in Ames, Iowa, I don't even know how many places I could just name off right now, but I don't want to get in a laundry list.
That's fine.
But anyways, just to help you guys understand how big this is going to be, XLM is handling payments for every single public sector person, okay? They will be handling every public transit, every single public official, every single person that works as a contract with government. They will be handling their assets, tracking and payments. Hyperledger is handling tracking of all transit assets across North America. That is vehicles, trains, airplanes. I mean, honestly, I'm just going to tell you, it sounds crazy. Electronic scooters, electronic bikes, all this stuff has been, it sounds crazy, but it's already been tagged. And I can't get into the specifics of how this stuff works, but if you understand the Internet of Things, you will understand how basically since 2010, a lot of things that you don't realize are connected to the Internet are.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me if I have an electric scooter, chances are there's some kind of transmitter in there and they're tracking me?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Whoa.
And Hedera is handling that. And so is Hyperledger, depending on what you're referring to item-wise.
Whoa. Heck
So,
no.
I know. And so, again, when I first was approached with this stuff, I was very hesitant from what they were pitching to us about the contract. And I prayed a lot about it. I know not everyone's religious, but I am. And having worked on what I've worked on, I have grown more religious. We are definitely, if you want to call it the B system, it's here. If you want to call it, the NWO or whatever, I don't want to get the channel cropped off, but
yeah,
it's here. And I am sorry that I helped set it up, but I considered that as a Christian, Jesus has placed people in different positions to help people understand what's going on. And I'm like, I get kind of choked up on this because it's honestly, it really does. I don't sleep well because I know what's coming. And again, I apologize, guys. I'm sorry that it is here now.
Look, hey, hold on a second. So what I did is when I started my program 3 years ago, I basically saw in the future that we're all going to be slaves.
Yes, we already are.
We already are, he's saying.
In the next 3 years.
The next 3 years, we'll all be. See, this crypto, I knew that there would be tracking with the VeChain and all these different tracking type things. And then the government wants everybody to have a phone, to all be tracked with the Starlink satellites. I'll tell you what, I was telling people for 3 years, in the beginning, we're probably going to maybe get ahead and everything, but it won't take too long before they figure out and we're all slaves. All right? Just I put that out there.
That's right.
And he's been working over there, tracking everything, this, that. This dude already knows, okay? And he's worked in this field with governments under non-disclosure agreements and stuff, just like Ripple. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you think that Ripple is really a three-letter agency company pretending to be a business?
I would take it a step further and not even just say Ripple. I would say all of these groups are. I have a very, very high-level security clearance. And I was interacting with people who I was shocked were involved in this stuff. How do I say this? People who you would have interacted with, Hulk, at your time in service that have now segued over into civilian, but not civilian, if you understand that.
Okay.
Rank-wise, I was very shocked at who was pulling the strings on this stuff. And that's why I say, I would say our window of freedom is inside 5 years.
Okay,
But
stop.
Again,
stop. So I was telling everybody when I first started the channel is, I can feel the end coming. I said to my audience 3 years ago, cryptos will be a way where they'll control the money, control the food, control everything. I said in the beginning, well, we might be free for a little while, until they close the noose up really tight and get control. They get in front and control all this crypto. I've been saying to all my people on my channel that Ripple is a temp agency for three-letter agencies. It's not even a company, okay? That's all fake. I've been telling you guys, it's a front. Like when I worked for California law enforcement, we went in the State Department of Justice crime lab. It's a flower shop in the front, okay? So you're walking in, it looks like a flower shop, and they're doing all these experiments inside the building. That's what Ripple is. I've been telling people that for 3 years, okay? And finally, we get somebody who's worked in that area and says, now he's going a step further, saying all these top crypto companies are three-letter agencies, everybody, pretending to be crypto companies.
When I was first learning about BTC. I got into it, and I've gotten into all of these. Again, this is all through a lot of prayer and understanding, and I was directed similar to how you are with what you're doing. Thank you for what you do. I wish I could be like a Snowden and tell you guys what's going on, but you get enough info from Hulk here that if you can't figure out the dots, you're blind. It's very nerve-wracking, and I mean, like, I don't stay in the same place for too long, especially now that this project's over, because I'm kind of dispensable now. And it definitely makes, I get like maybe 1 to 2 hours of sleep a night, because I honestly don't know how much longer I got. I don't think I'm going to longer, just for what I know, but whatever. But yeah, you guys are on the right track. Get the things that, you know, Hulk has discussed and get them offline. Don't worry about this ledger stuff. I'm just, from what I can tell you, I mean, I'm French and American, know people in ledger, and the reason why they came out and actually explained what was going on with this update was so that way people would know that the governments are pressuring them to do this. And now you see there's a backlash coming out because people don't want this. And it gives them, you know, plausible deniability on, hey, you know, we're just trying to inform our customers and they don't want this. So this is why we're going to be tweaking things and moving away. And the other thing that's going to freak you guys out is.
But this, at least I'd rather know I told you guys, I'm telling you, man, you get to locking up hardware. Well, it's not going to be pretty 5 to 10 years from now. It's going to be pretty the next, 1, 2, 3 years and all that. But after that, they're coming for it, dude. They're going to figure out a way to take it all. Okay?
Yes. One final thing. I highly recommend this. Figure out a way to have multiple wallet addresses for all of your assets. Not just because you want to hide them. That's not what I mean. But so you can have multiple ways to move things so you can use them instead of having to be one solo account. Got it?
Right.
And the sooner you divest out of these assets into real world assets, land, vehicles, gold, silver, things of that nature, the whole you're a slave thing, it's not going to bother you so much because everyone is already a slave. So they've tracked you since the internet. Prior to that, honestly, I can't talk too much about it, but the sooner you get what are amounts that you're about to get, move them into things that you don't need those assets for. I know some people want to hold on to XRP for 10 years and stuff like that because they want to be a billionaire. You're not going to get that chance. What they're going to do is they're going to make it so, the accredited investor jargon, they're going to find a way to push you out or box you out if you are not aligned with, P Group or other entities that will custody, because they will have side chains, which will be the only matter for conducting business. So if you are not entered in or whitelisted, you will not be able to conduct business with those assets. You can collateralize them by handing them over, but then do you trust the government? I don't. Whoa. Knowing what I know, I don't. So I would divest that as quickly and smartly as possible. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to go. God bless you guys. Stay healthy. Pray for me, please. And honestly, play for Hulk. He needs it. And again, pray for me. My name's Laurent, and God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.